What's up, guys? This is Automotive Anonymous, and what I do, if you're unfamiliar, are car reviews, 0 to 60s, and other fun stuff. Today we have another 2023 Silverado. I've done a few of these already, and I wanted to bring this one to you because it's the LT limited to FL trim level. So it's a high volume seller for Chevy. I borrowed this one from Twin Falls Chevy in Southern Idaho. I'll link it below if you're interested. They're a really good dealer, and it's like 5 or 6 grand below MSRP. So let's get right into it with a walk around, go through the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 with my GPS, and final thoughts to decide, is this worth your time and money? Is this a truck that might work for you or your family? And while I have your attention, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to help the channel grow, to connect, and tell me what's next, what you want to see. Otherwise, let's get right into it. This generation of Silverado started in 2019. They had a refresh last year, and this is Northern Sky Blue Metallic, which happens to be the same color as the Trail Boss I did for you guys a few weeks ago, which is a really fun turbo diesel truck. I've now done most of the powertrains between like 4 or 5 Silverado videos I've uploaded, and I'm really excited for the LT. Chevy sells like more than 1/3 of these on the average year in the United States, so it's a very high volume vehicle. The LT is the third of 9 trim levels. The top one is the ZR2, which just got added last year. The base one is the work truck, and then the custom, and then the LT. This is the most sold one from my understanding. It has the 2.7 turbo with 310 horse and 430 torque that we'll get to in just a little bit when I show you under the hood. And it has the 8-speed transmission, not to be confused with the 10-speed that's in some of the other Silverados. It has a 21 MPG rating on the interstate, 18 in the city with this turbo. So with the 24-gallon tank, you're good for some long hauling 500-mile road trips, baby, before it's time to get out and stretch your legs. Although it's probably recommended you get out and stretch a little bit before then. Anyways, they have about 8.1 inches of ground clearance. Not too bad. It's a 3:42 final drive ratio, so it's a decent balance between putting the torque down to the wheels and sparing the MPG. It's about 19 feet long, 7 feet wide, and 6.5 feet tall with a 12-foot wheelbase. So it handles the road really well, but you definitely can tell when you're 6.5 feet tall, you're driving a big truck, especially for a 1500 in today's time. This one can tow about 11,000 pounds. It has about a 5.8 foot bed with about a 2,000 pound payload capacity. So it's very capable for a modern half-ton. And then it has a few of the safety assist features. It's a 5-star crash test rating. Overall, it's a really good vehicle. You do have Michelin tires. They're 265, 65, 18. And then in the back, under the bed, you have a steel spare tire. So that's not too bad either. But let's get inside and out of this 30-degree cold. On the door panel, we have some really nice materials. We have like a wood finish that's smoothed over. Of course, the locks, the window features, the power mirrors. Large speaker. No nameplate on it, but they do sound pretty decent for what this vehicle is. 2 bottle holders and a big enough spot for a full pack of Twizzlers. And because you're the driver, it's up to you. Are you gonna share or are you not? You don't have to, but it would be kind of nice. This one doesn't have the extra door pocket, the second one, like some of the other trim levels I've reviewed, but that's okay. It still offers a lot. Nothing ingrained on the aluminum door sill plate, but it does look good just being there. You have rubberized pedals and mats, OBD 2-port hood release, 4x4 options, electronic parking brake, lighting options right there. And then we have the 10-way power adjustable cloth seat. Followed up to the top, there's no embroidery or stamping, but it is very comfortable and a decent amount of bolstering, so it's going to fit a lot of body types very well. No moonroof or sunroof up top, but you have such good visibility out of this truck, you get a lot of natural light just as it is. Grab handle on the A-pillar if you need it, and push button start. Let's fire this puppy up. You can see the lights for the heads-up display flashing right there. There are 6 of them. And you have a nice, about a 12-inch display there, and about a 13.4-inch display here, so it looks really cool. Before we get any further, I'll show you guys the cameras, because the cameras on these Silverados are quite impressive. Really good clarity on this one. Otherwise, the steering wheel's great. It's like a leather wrap, really good stitching. Heated option feels fantastic. You have your climate controls and adaptive features there. You have your voice controls and your volume features over here. 6 o'clock handle is fantastic. And then you can see what is spec'd on this model. And I usually don't like this type of humor, guys, but if someone lets out a stinky, you can evacuate in a jiffy. With that well known, you're gonna keep your relationships going. You have heated seats down here. All your climate controls are physical buttons, which I really like, a USB, a USB. And then the Chevy center console on the 6th seat, the middle bench seat, is really good. You have storage right there. Of course, cup holders, penny holders, dime holders, quarter holders, and paperclip holders. Phone or wallet up here, as well as you have a little bit of a rubber lined storage up top. And then underneath the seat, you have another storage, which I really like. And while we're here, see, it's about 5-6 grand under MSRP, so really not a bad deal. But let's hop in the back and let's see how well we sit behind ourselves in the Silverado. Door panel, again, looks really good, follows suit for the same type of design, same type of soft touch materials that are visually appealing and tactile pleasing. They are really cool, nice big pocket. Again, kind of that chrome line around the base speaker. And you have a really nice flat load floor. It's a 60-40 split. And you can easily lift up the bench, get to some of your tools underneath each side if you ever had to change your own tire. We're gonna pull up on the B handle. And then sitting in here, what is this? How much room is that? That is insane, guys. Very nice right there. And then we have an actual 120 volt outlet. Of course, ventilation down low. USB-C, USB, but no center armrest, so you might have to just put something there, a bag, a pet, whatever you feel is an appropriate option to lay your heavy, burdened, tired arm on. Anyways, let's get out of the cab and go to the bed. Not automatic lowering, but it does have the unlock. And then kind of the slow down assist so it doesn't just drop. Especially with how heavy tailgates are these days. You do have the 12 tie downs. They are all rated for 500 pounds. You have LED lighting on each side, and then you have the 120 volt outlet in the back, but no spray and bed liner yet on this model. You just have kind of that polymer spray and finish on the bed, and then easy lift to set it back. 2-inch hitch right there. Spare tire underneath, and there's about that 8 inches of ground clearance with the single tip exhaust. Going around to the passenger back seat, you know the drill. Door panels, fantastic. Tons of space. Either backseat person could be a backseat driver, so if you don't want them backseat driving, put them in the middle. Do yourself a favor. And then there is the jack if you need to change that tire. Pretty cool. Some of the higher trim levels have storage in the middle of those backseat backrests, but this one does not. Shotgun, it still looks really good. In the passenger seat, same theme for the door sill. No power options though on this LT. It's just manual adjust. Safety being a 5-star crash test, you know our backpack is gonna stay safe if something were to happen. Locking glove box, it's decent size. I don't see any plugins or anything in there. And then second glove box. Where are you guys gonna hide in there? Leave it in the comments. I really want to know. As long as it's legal. I don't want any of your liability. Anyways, let's go around to the front, pop the hood, and see what the 2.4 turbo Spinny Boy looks like. Under the hood, everything is where you need it to be. It's a little bit harder to see what's going on because of the baffling and the plastics than some of the V8 models, and especially with just how big under the hood is on Silverados. But we have the air filter in here to the ducting, the baffling to quiet it down to get it through the turbo exhaust side of the engine. You have brake fluid reservoirs, coolant reservoirs, and windshield washer reservoirs all up top, nice and easy to get to. 5W30 full synthetic right there is where you fill it up if you do your own oil changes. The dipstick is right there. The alternator is just out of sight, probably on camera, but I can see it underneath the baffling just a few inches past my finger. And then the battery on this side with the positive terminal in the red, negative on the other side if you ever had to help jumpstart someone else. And then you can see the heat shield of the Spinny Boy Turbo. I hope that picks up on camera for you guys. Otherwise, this 2.7 makes 310 horse, 430 torque. And that torque comes on at like 3,000 RPM. So it's really punchy. That's more torque than the 5.3 V8 makes. And it's at only 3,000 RPM. So that's a usable torque band. And that's one of the reasons why this Silverado feels very punchy, very quick. It's not just due to the functional aero. That only helps a little bit. Drop the hood. Now it's time to teleport inside and take it for a drive and find out what it does 0 to 60. Initial driving impressions of this Silverado are that it's really good. Visibility is of course fantastic. I really feel like for driving such a big truck, I can see a lot of stuff. I can see a lot of corners of the vehicle for where it ends. I don't feel like I would easily make a mistake that could be devastating as far as running over something you shouldn't, parking too close to someone else. I really feel like you kind of, if you've driven a truck before, you know it's not that difficult. If you haven't, just know it probably wouldn't take very long, but this is a big vehicle. Looking down at C3 Corvettes like that, you can see just how high up you are, where the roof is about 6.5 feet tall. That's pretty substantial. Otherwise, the steering wheel, I just love it. It's so comfortable, as is the armrest. The 10-way power seat adjustment, I can really get comfortable wherever I need to be. Center console, which is that big, 20 split bench seat basically, is just fantastic. I really love how much stuff you have access to. You can really bring a lot along with this. And you guys are probably starting to realize, while I'm doing these test drives, I just love the camera feature. The Chevy cameras, this one doesn't have the 360 degree, which is a fantastic feature if you guys can swing it, but even the regular one on that big 13-inch screen, it looks so darn good. All the finishings on this truck are just fantastic. Let's see how the brake feel is at 30. I wouldn't say it's squishy, but it's not really a sharp bite when you first put your foot down, but then you can tell the more you push, the more linear it is as far as slowing you down quickly. Just a partial rev. I doubt it, but I really hope you guys can hear that turbo spool on camera. This 2.7 turbo does a phenomenal job getting you right off the line without putting too much effort in, because when you don't have to rev out the engine to make peak torque, it just feels better. It feels less abusive, in my opinion. It feels like you're driving something more powerful than you may be. And this engine's coming to the Colorado, which I can't wait to review one of those. I bet it's gonna be a fun time, a really cool ride. Anyways, back to this truck. The adaptive features work really well. The safety features, watching what the headlights can do at night, are really cool. I'm sorry you guys don't get to see that on this drive. But it's just overall a really fun truck with that 12-foot wheelbase. You feel very stable on the road. And weighing, roughly 5,000 pounds, it handles pretty well. It's not like a car. You're definitely driving a truck. It doesn't have the same suspension setup as like that Denali Yukon XL I just posted, but it does feel really smooth. I'm surprised at how good modern trucks feel, even for being, the middle of the line trim levels. They are just so good. The auto start stop feature on this one is decent. It feels like the vehicle is more integrated in. We'll see if it does it at the stop sign up here. It doesn't feel like it was an afterthought. It feels like they were engineered and integrated together intentionally. Let's see what the turbo does. Yep. I briefly pushed the pedal all the way down and it turned off instantly, and then I let off right away, so it started to come back on a little bit prematurely, but that did feel pretty smooth. It didn't feel like it was shaking this whole truck with how big the truck is. Anyways, the speaker system is decent. I don't really have a lot of gripes with this. I really like the overall experience driving this, and I want to see how fast it is. We're going to do a 0 to 60 on our private road coming up. 0 to 60 in the 2.7 Silverado. We're going to brake rev. We're in 4 high so that we can keep traction in the rear, and then traction control is turned off. Density altitude's about 2,000 feet today, although true altitude's about twice that, near 4,000 feet. I'll verbalize the true 0 to 60, and then the bottom left of the graph will show without the foot of rollout. That's the way the magazine would rate it. Keep in mind, this turbo engine makes so much torque down low that sometimes it lurches off the line, and you might see a little bit on the torque graph. That would show that you might be a little bit faster than what this graph suggests, just because it starts to inch forward before I let off the brake. Here we go. That feels really good, and that time it did not lurch forward. True 0 to 60, 7.01. That is really impressive for a true time. Let's get to our final thoughts. Final thoughts of the Silverado LT is for 2023, there's not that many substantial changes compared to the last model year, but the look, the front end, it's really growing on me. They're a really aggressive truck. I've always loved Silverados. I've always loved General Motors for their rear-wheel drive and 4x4 platforms. I did drive the EcoBoost 3.5 F-150 recently, and it's astonishing how much quicker that truck is than any of the Silverados I've been able to test where we live at altitude. If you haven't seen that video, you can check it out. But otherwise, even though this isn't the fastest truck on the road, the most powerful, it's a good feeling truck. It does everything really well. If you need this size of vehicle, go test drive one. I strongly would consider it myself. The hood bulge, to the LED lights, to just that blue metallic paint, it looks so good, and it's so capable for a 1500. Anyways, guys, if you like my video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing if you're interested in a truck and you want to drive to this area. Check out the link below. Until next time, guys, take care.